Today at Little Wooden Wonders we are going to be unboxing and assembling the Jet DC-1100 dust collector. The model name is DC-1100VX. So I will start unboxing here and show the assembly. Alright, we have it unboxed here, and it looks like we have the output, or actually the input where the dust and debris will come in. We have the main filter unit here, comes with the hose, the bracket there. Looks like we have the main motor, plate, manual. This is a big filter bag, haven't opened that yet. Caster wheels, some other brackets. So we'll get the manual open and we'll start the assembly. First part of the assembly and the directions involves the bottom plate here and installing the caster wheels. So the instructions tell us to take the nut and the washer off, put the nut on, and the locking nut on, and then the caster wheel screws onto the bottom of the plate. Use a 14mm wrench to thread it on here. So I'm going to do that for all four wheels. Get it nice and tight so we have a solid base to work with. Now with the caster wheels on the base plate, next step is to install the motor and fan assembly. Now with the motor and fan assembly secured to the base, the next step is to install the impeller cover. So we have the impeller on the fan unit, and there's the cover. So we're going to get the cover installed here. It has two inputs here, where one has a cap on it to restrict flow, and the second one. So now with the impeller cover secured, I've tightened down each screw to keep the dust at bay here, any dust that comes into the machine. And the next step we go to are the support legs for the rest of the unit with the filters in the bag. So I've already put one in. I've just loosely kept it loose here so you can move it around later. So we have two more to go, and we're back to the larger hex bits with the regular washers. Now with all three legs hand tightened to the base, the next step is to install the actual housing where the filter goes. So we had to open the other brown box we had, which has the filter, clamp to tighten the bag to it, and this support rod, which is going to be important here, we have to install to one of the legs here. So now with the housing installed and everything is tightened down, bolts on top as well as the bolts on the bottom, which we had let loose to properly fit the housing, the next step is to install the cone assembly. So this unit here goes on the inside of the housing as a bracket and some more bolts there. So that is the next step of the installation. So this step involves mounting the support bracket here and putting in the bolts they gave you on top. And then using the locking nuts and tighten from the underside. So we'll do that now. With those secure, the next step is to install the bottom cone. So we put the bolt, then we put the cone on the underside. We then use the washer, and the locking nut. So that is our next step. With the cone in place and all the screws, bolts tightened down as tight as I could get, the next step is to install the connecting hose from the housing to the blower fan motor assembly using a couple of these clamps that they give us. They give us 2 clamps, one on the bottom, one on the top. Tighten them down. So we'll see how that goes. With the bottom hose tightened using the clamp, I'm going to start the assembly of the top one. So we slip the clamp over the hose here and then insert it up onto the top. Now with the hose clamped down and tightened to the housing and the motor, the next step is to move on to the filter bag. So I've already hooked up stand rod here, and I've taken the bag out of the plastic. We just hook it over the top here, and then we use the metal clamp to clamp it to the housing. Now with the bag attached to the hook on the stand rod and wrapped around the housing, the next step is to take the bracket and feed it through each of the loops around the bag, coming around to the start and then tightening it down. Once you have the bracket looped all the way through, pull your bracket tight. Make sure your bag is in place where you want it. And then go ahead and cinch it down. With the filter bag installed and clamped down tight, the final piece of the assembly is going to be the collection bag. Collection bag hangs down at the bottom, has a window where you can see through the bag, has a flexible rim on top, and all you do to install it, put it inside the bottom lip of the housing, push on the flexible rim, snap into place. And that should complete the installation, the assembly of the jet dust collector model DC-1100VX with the bag filter.